He ditched the mustache, and I'm not sure why, because he is pretty good looking with it on. It is Jacob Ullman. He joins me today. You know him, Senior Vice President, Production and Talent Development at Fox Sports. This is the On to Something podcast. I'm Bryan Fenley with Fox Sports Radio and Tennis Channel. And this is an opportunity not to just talk strictly business with Jacob, but learn about him as a dad, learn about his upbringing as well, and get the broader, fuller picture of who he is. Jacob, I appreciate you doing this. When is the mustache coming back?
That was I've had a mustache twice in my life, both times for Movember, literally in the name of charity. I'm not a huge facial hair fan, but amazingly enough, I think the first time I did it was about 6 years ago, maybe something like that, or even longer. And it got over $10,000, which I thought was incredible. And then when I did it last year in 2021, I got over $20,000. So yes, in the name of charity, I probably have to do it at some other point. But raising $20,000 with a mustache actually takes a lot of work, a lot of social media posts, and it's actually a lot of energy, but it's obviously for a good cause, which is pretty awesome. And people are very generous and kind.
You are very generous and kind. You have a lot of energy. And as we start this conversation, what would a sample of one of your play-by-play calls in basketball sound like when you're in college, when you were growing up? What would that sound like? The Jacob Ullman catchphrase of a call.
That's why I'm not a play-by-play announcer anymore. I just work with so no. You know what I would do? I will give you a tape at some point. You can listen. We'll pick I don't know, USC UCLA game or something worthy like that. But yeah, no, I don't need to demonstrate it. But there are actual cassette tapes of them somewhere.
When you listen to interviews of talent, what about an interview makes it compelling to you?
I think obviously learning something about the interview subject, right? That you didn't know, no matter who it is. It could be somebody as big as Tom Brady, or a Tom Rinaldi feature where it's somebody you don't know the subject and you're learning about. But having a takeaway like, oh, I learned this about that person that I didn't know. And I think for the key for somebody interviewing is just making sure you listen to the answers, and your next question or a later question is based on something they say, as opposed to, going in with scripted 5 questions. This is what I'm going to ask no matter what. So, yeah, getting something new out of that. And, we're so lucky, Tom Rinaldi is literally the best in the business, that he is now with our family. And honestly, on college football Saturdays, watching Big Noon Kickoff, and virtually every week having an experience where sometimes there's tears, sometimes there's laughs, but it's always captivating.
Where come the laughs when you're out manning a sailboat?
The laughs?
Yeah.
Just being on the water, I'm happy. I've been fortunate because of my grandfather and my father, who are both renowned sailors, and I just grew up on the water. And so I'm happiest when I am on the water in some way, shape, or form. I'm a Pisces, so it kind of worked out. I found my my calling and my Zen place in life.
With all the time you spend on the water, Jacob, what's the best sunset you've ever witnessed?
There's a single best sunset, but it honestly, whenever I'm in Hawaii, those are pretty darn good. I spent a lot of time in Maui and Kauai in my life. Those are probably my 2 islands. Though I've never been to the Big Island. That's on the list. The one place that I've heard has good sunsets, and I've kind of experienced, North Carolina has some pretty amazing sunsets. I spent a decent amount of time there because of my my work in NASCAR, and people rave about the sunsets there. And to be honest with you, when I've been there, they've pulled through pretty good.
Yeah, going to college in that state, I can definitely attest to that. And when you're out in the islands and you have your family with you, what does it look like when you're able to unplug? When Jacob Ullman and all of his commitments and his busy schedule, what do you most like to do when you're able to just kind of sit back for a moment?
Literally just be on the beach and hang out. And that with the kids is boogie boarding, with me, kind of my favorite thing to do is paddleboard. Just I'm not able to do it really like I used to be, but my it used to be that your cell phone didn't work internationally, and taking an international trip and literally not taking your phone or your phone not working was ideal. Unfortunately, now those things work too well, and you can't kind of escape it. But some people don't like the concept of completely unplugging, but I love it in theory. The reality is I can't do it as much as I would like.
How are you able to get lost in music?
Lost in music. I don't know about lost in music, but music can just take you to a kind of a different place. Um, I honestly like different kinds of bands hit me in different ways and different types of music. And yeah, I'm my grandfather was a French horn player, so I just kind of grew up around music, and my father kind of introduced me to what we would term now as classic rock. He had an amazing collection of like about 1,000 albums. So I just was kind of exposed to it from day one, and yeah, music is yeah, good for the soul.
Your grandfather, if I'm not mistaken, Vincent DeRosa, and obviously, I think you're selling. I mean, the contributions he had on music are incredible and so widespread. How good was he at making pasta?
Uh Pretty damn good. The best pasta I've ever tasted. I wish I had the skill to cook because he could have passed that on to me. But no, he was my grandfather was a force of nature. Is regarded by many as the greatest French horn player to live. It's been quoted multiple times. He was the most recorded brass player of all time, and taught me a lot of my love for sports. Growing up, took me to tons of baseball games, just hanging out on his couch, watching football together on weekends. Really, honestly, my a ton of my love for sports comes from him. And yes, his pasta was as good as it gets, and still eating Italian food makes me think of him.
How much of your personality and your approach to life do you feel comes from him?
Probably a fair amount. He was very outgoing, love people, which I think are probably characteristics I possess. Um, uh, Kind, a good listener. Um, you know, the dedication he had to his craft. While we were watching those football games on his couch, he would be practicing a great deal of the time, and
Wow.
not just on commercial breaks, but so I almost had a little music soundtrack as the game was going on. He just and also in that time he taught a lot. He did private lessons. He was also a professor for 30 plus years at USC. So a lot of times while on a Sunday we're watching sports, he's having students come in and he's giving lessons as this is all taking place. So it was all kind of just ingrained his personal life, professional life, all kind of yeah. There was not a lot of delineation between the two.
Total dedication to the craft and from his perspective. And then when you look at your dedication to the craft, what did that look like when you were a researcher, June 1994, when you were first getting started with Fox Sports?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I started at Fox the summer of 1994, which was the summer of my between my junior and senior year at USC. Somebody at USC recommended Fox was looking for kind of college age kids to be involved in. It was a startup, right? They in December of 1993, um, Fox had got the rights to broadcast the NFC package of the NFL, and it literally was a startup. It seems like a pretty big startup, if you're broadcasting NFL games, but there was one sport that existed. It was a famous line John Madden had: "Why are we calling it Fox Sports when it really should be Fox Sport? Because the only sport we had was the NFL." Somebody at USC recommended me. They were looking for kind of college age kids that wouldn't be intimidated by technology. I got a call out of the blue, and this is my 29th football season. I've really never had to look for a job, which is beyond fortunate. Um, but I kind of didn't realize how special it was to be at a startup, right? Because I was just starting fresh. And that summer when I started, as we were leading into the fall, it was lots of rehearsals and lots of preparing, and there was no infrastructure to get in December a contract, and then our first preseason game was in August. First regular season games were in September. To put something together that fast is pretty amazing. To our first leaders, David Hill and Ed Gorin, to have been able. I think you had both of them on your show
I've
before.
had both of them on. David
Wow,
Hill came
yeah,
on twice, Jacob.
twice. I've only seen once. One. I got to see the other. But honestly, you hear about the SEC network starting or FS1 starting or Amazon getting Thursday Night Football, and usually it's like a couple years after you hear that it actually kind of comes to fruition. I mean, what they did in less than a year is incredible, and honestly, like, should go down as one of the greatest achievements in sports broadcasting. To have no infrastructure and to put things together that quickly is pretty incredible, and really a testimony to their leadership, and obviously both of their creative geniuses.
As humble as you are, Jacob, what do you think has been your greatest achievement in the 28 years and counting you've been at Fox?
Honestly, I just think that the fact that I've been able to stay in one place, which that's kind of from another era, right? Like, people don't have jobs for that long. So there are other people at Fox that have been here that long. It probably also says a ton about the culture that was created at our company and still exists under the leadership of Eric Shanks. That um, I don't want to leave. I love where I work. I, not having experienced other places to work, there's this thought: is the grass greener somewhere else? But what I experience a lot when people leave Fox, it seems like a couple years later they're like, "Hey, are there any other any you guys got anything going on? Any opportunities?" Like, I think it's more from hearing it from other places that we really have a special culture, and it is a fun place to work.
You love where you work and you love building up others and supporting others. And one of those of note would be Jake Olson and what he means to you. How would you put that into words, Jacob?
Yeah, Jake is just I would describe him a little bit as an old soul. There's definitely disparity in our ages, but I connect with him. I like being around him. His story obviously is amazing and well documented. Um, but he's just a really kind-hearted person. There is no woe is me, and it's probably something we can all learn from, as we all it's hard not to get down when you have a bad day, but you think about somebody that's gone through what he's gone through, and always to have a sunny disposition says a lot. Um, yeah, he's a great person to have in my life, and once again, I think the perspective is good for all of us.
When you think of good people that will always put a smile on your face, where does Ben Benjamin stand in doing that for you?
So my friend Ben, who passed away last month in November of 2022. Yeah, he was a unique person in that uh, I don't know. Probably all of our lives are segmented into different things. Um, I have high school friends, college friends, sailing friends, Grateful Dead friends, work friends, and kind of like probably now in this next chapter of your life, you're kind of like personal friends related to family. And he checked all those boxes, excluding work and college. Like, we went to high school together. We grew up sailing with each other, against each other. We saw a ton of concerts, including lots of Grateful Dead concerts together. And then now, kind of in this next phase of our lives, our family and kids were very close. And his son Liam and my daughter Skylar are basically the same age, kind of at the same level sailing wise, and just get along great. our families go to the beach together, and yeah. So um, I, I I guess I have a lot of friends. I don't have probably a ton of really really close friends, and he was at the top of that list. So yeah, it was a big loss in my life, and one I'm still kind of
For
wrapping my head
sure.
around.
For sure. In looking at all your social media posts, you can just feel the energy and the care and support you have for his family and how you beautifully described your relationship with him. And I just wanted to make sure that people understood that connection in this conversation that is unbreakable. The family dynamic for you, how does the big sister show little brother that she's still in charge?
Well, it's really funny because my daughter Skylar is 12, my son Nolan is 8. She is remarkably kind to her younger brother. Her younger brother is not so kind to her. They are either hugging and kissing or literally fisticuffs. There's no in between. So they get along really well, and she really is great with him. Um, but yeah, I would say she's in charge, but he can be in charge when he wants to. And yes, she is probably she probably takes after her mom more, and he probably takes after his dad more. And unfortunately, when he is being a pain in the rear end, I unfortunately see a decent amount of him in my childhood in him. So yeah.
With your actions and words, Jacob, how do you show them, your kids, that you love them and you tell them you love them?
I do make a point of telling them a lot because I think that's important. I don't think you can ever say that too much to the people that you do love, and I try. There's probably a dynamic that could be described as spoiling them, but I don't know that the word is spoiling. With my job and kind of the people I know and some, I have unique access to things. I try to have them have pretty cool experiences. I think that's a way that, um, yeah, I don't know if I don't even know what the right words are, but have them experience some pretty cool things in life and live and experience because we're very fortunate. We happen to have I happen to have been born in a very beautiful place, and they happen to have been born in the same beautiful place, and we have a good life. So I want them to love that and hopefully appreciate that.
When you take them to these places and you see their reaction and the awe, how does that validate you as a dad?
Oh, I don't know, validate, but I just think it's cool to see yeah, to see your kids be happy. And my Skylar has a really cool thing where when she has a really something cool happens, or we have a great day, or we're just sometimes it doesn't even have to be a great experience, but it could just be spending the day, at the beach or hanging out, and she says, "This is the best day ever." Like she says that a decent amount, and it's pretty cool, and it warms your heart.
Aside from your family, what makes you the happiest, Jacob?
That's a tricky one. What makes me the happiest? I think you know, ha- happiest isn't work, but I do get I think work is very fulfilling. I love my job. When things are going well, I really enjoy it. I love uh, the joy of when you can pass along good news to one of somebody you work with or an employee. I think that's pretty special. I've been fortunate enough that I've been able to give people life changing is that they were hired at Fox, and you have to move from Miami or New Orleans or wherever you may live and move to LA, and yeah, being able to give that kind of like life changing news to people is pretty fulfilling. I think we've touched on it a little before. Being on the water, being at a concert, just I don't know. There's a single thing that makes me happiest, but I'm not religious, but I'm probably spiritual. So things that are good for your soul, I think are what kind of make me the happiest.
Last question for you. Jacob Ullman is with me. I'm Bryan Fenley. The spiritual feeling you would experience when being at a Grateful Dead concert, how would you put that into words?
Yeah, I think there's a communal aspect to it, right? Like you meet a lot of people at shows that you don't necessarily know in the quote unquote real world. My interactions with them are there. So that dynamic has now changed a lot with cell phones and with social media, where it's not it used to be literally you'd see somebody at a show and you might not see him again until the next time you see him at a show later, something like that. Um, but also the music kind of moves me in ways that other music, other things don't move me. The amazing dynamic that there's a line that there's that no two Grateful Dead shows are the same. So every concert, the songs are different, the way the songs are played are different, and that's probably part of the hook is that if you don't see the next one, you're probably gonna miss something, miss out on something. There's a phrase, never miss a Sunday show, because for whatever reason, as long as they've been around and in every different incarnation, that Sunday shows tend to be the most special. So if they're playing three shows in a row, a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday, you don't want to miss the Sunday show. I think they're all just different and unique, and it's an adventure. You never know what it's gonna look like. So it's always something that kind of keeps me coming back.
For as many shows of them as you've seen, I think your life, as we wrap up this conversation, would make for a pretty neat show. Jacob Ullman, Senior Vice President of Production and Talent Development at Fox Sports. I'm Bryan Fenley with Tennis Channel and Fox Sports Radio. Jacob, thanks so much for doing this. It was fun getting a perspective beyond the scope of work and really get to learn what drives you and the way you think. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bryan. Bryan, how long have we known each other now?
Well, I think before I moved out to the West, I might have been introduced to you. So it's been about 5 years, I would say,
Yeah, it's
somewhere.
been a good little stretch, right? And
It's
I'm
been a good.
it's been awesome to watch how hard you work,
Thank
how
you.
dedicated you are. Just these series of videos is unique and I think very smart of you to do, and also just your passion for tennis
You.
and see you kind of achieve at a high level there. No, it's been awesome to watch your journey, and I'm glad we've got to be friends.